Happy Saturday and welcome to the Leadoff on the Peak One Sports Network, brought to you by Apogee Grafix, taking your vision to new heights. Go to apogeegrafix.com and use promo code Peak1 for 10% off your order. I'm Ashton with Tony and Landon here in the studio, ready to get you ready for your sports weekend. Thank you for listening, however you're tuning in. We're going to talk Cowboys, college football, the World Series, and more. But first, we have a big announcement. Landon, let's tell all the listeners.
Well, we haven't been here for probably 3 weeks.
Yeah,
and
Well, you haven't.
Well, I haven't.
No, I'm just kidding. We've been remote.
been traveling.
Yeah, we have been traveling. And then, what was it? No, I don't even think it's been a week yet.
It's been very fresh.
Yeah,
Like, it's just been on social media not very long.
6 days ago,
Yeah.
I have announced my commitment to Southern Arkansas Tech.
Yeah.
So-
I need to. Oh, I should have.
Yeah.
I should have played the applause already. I didn't.
Gonna play some baseball out there.
Yeah,
Baseball scholarship.
Division II JUCO, so.
There we go. The first step to the league, man. Now, I already told everybody if eventually if you transfer to A&M, I'll wear an A&M hat and go to your games. I'll go to some of your games too. I'm already wanting to get some Southern Arkansas
It's not
Tech.
too bad. It's like 5.5 hours away, so.
Yeah. Yeah, they are the Rockets. Dark blue and yellow colors. Yeah, definitely going to get some of that swag. So, congratulations, Landon. We have a current college athlete on our, or will in the next year have a current college athlete on our network. Again, thanks for listening. However you are tuning in, if you're watching on the Peak One Sports Network, checking us out on the Coach's Box, or however you listen to podcasts. Appreciate it. All right, so we're going to go from that announcement, that great high, to now we're going to go talk Cowboys. Get it out of the way. Cowboys have been on a bye week, which, I think we're all kind of relieved. You never want to go on a bye week on a loss, but after that loss a couple weeks ago, we're just like,
the first half of the first part of the season. You're ready for a break. You're ready for them.
And they're only 3-3. They're not, not out of it. If they can manage not to get blown out.
You're
anymore.
in a situation with the way the Commanders are playing. I don't know if the Cowboys have a legitimate shot to win this division.
No,
and if you don't win the division, I'm not sure they're going to be a wild card team.
I mean, luckily the 49ers aren't doing much or much better. I thought the NFC South may have a couple of wild card teams, but the Saints just fell off, which kind of makes you feel worse about that blowout. Who knows what happens with the Falcons?
The season's still fresh. I mean, we haven't hit, we get here in like 3 weeks, Thanksgiving. That's when it really is going to start to heat up, and you may have some teams that just get hot.
Yeah.
In the last month, to 6 weeks of the season.
I don't know. What are your thoughts? Do you think their best path is division, or do you think getting one of those wild card spots when you look at the NFC North, the Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears?
I just don't know.
There's only 3 spots. You have to take it away from one of them.
The way they're playing now, I mean, I know their record doesn't always. Their record right now isn't reflecting how the season's gone, but I think that.
Usually it's the opposite. Usually their record doesn't reflect how good they've been playing.
Yeah.
But it's the opposite. Now it doesn't reflect how bad they've been playing.
Yeah. Yeah, because the losses they have been like blowout losses.
At home, too. They're 3-0 on the road.
Yeah. And maybe that helps if you are a wild card team and you're going on the road. I'm just not sure. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries.
Yeah.
So you get the team healthy. Maybe you catch fire and you go on a win streak here in the next month. Maybe things change. I just find it hard to believe that they're going to. I mean, the Commanders look for real to me.
Yeah. I don't know about the Eagles. The Eagles are the Eagles. I think here in a couple weeks, I think the Cowboys always compete against the Eagles at home. Yeah. I think that would be a close game.
The Eagles are one of those teams, though, that they're still so talented.
Yeah.
Like, they're just, I don't know what funk they're in right now with that offense. Mm-hmm. Like, they could get hot.
It's called Kellen Moore. But Washington, I'm trying to hold out like it's new. It's a rookie quarterback. Although you have new ownership, all of a sudden it's putting together. You have a new coach, Dan Quinn, putting it together. A lot of former Cowboys on that team.
Does that make you question why did the Cowboys not pay Dan Quinn?
No, I mean, after that loss against the Packers, I think we were all ready, just like, just go get your head coaching job. I mean, this is your only shot, I think.
Would you rather have him as your head coach here?
I mean, it's easy. I don't know, because you see what they've done now, what the Commanders have done and what the Cowboys are doing. Yeah, sure, it's easy to say that. But I don't know. I don't think there's one. Jerry doesn't like firing coaches anymore. He just like let them run out their contract. So he'd have to fire Mike McCarthy, knowing which would have been fine. You get blown out. You're expecting, you're saying conference championship or bust, and you lose in the first round like you did, and then you're going to say, well, the defensive coordinator that his defense just gave up all those points, we're going to promote him. See, I think. I would say it wouldn't have been a good look, but, I mean, this whole offseason wasn't a good look for the Cowboys.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get the part is, you go home with the girl you took to the dance kind of thing. Like, I get it, see it out to the end. The NFL's just different. You can't compare it in that sense. Now, that's coming from someone, I have never been a fan of Mike McCarthy.
Yeah.
I thought when you brought him in, I mean, there's a reason that the Packers let him go and that he sat for so long without being with the team. I think he's an innovative coach, but he's an old innovative coach.
Yeah.
And I just don't know that his innovations match up with what we're seeing from this younger breed of coaches.
Yeah. Well, Dan Quinn, I don't think he was going to wait again. I was saying for the last couple of years, like it's kind of positive for him. Like if there's not a good head coaching job, one of two things are going to happen. The Cowboys are going to do really good, and he's going to be up for another one next year. Or they're going to do bad. They're going to fire Mike McCarthy, and he's going to be up there. Like, if you don't get fired after that,
I mean, honestly,
debacle,
this Cowboys team has been a direct reflection of what Mike McCarthy's been in his career.
Yeah.
The Packers they've won one Super Bowl. I mean, you brought him in on one Super Bowl win with Aaron Rodgers, arguably one of the best quarterbacks of that era. I mean, he was right there with the best.
A great team.
Yeah. But they were kind of mediocre teams. I mean, they would playoff teams, but they never really got to the...
Yeah, they got hot at the right time.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing exactly what we hired in Mike McCarthy. So I guess you can't be upset with that, and maybe that's why Jerry's like, hey, I need to see this through because I knew what we were getting with him.
Yeah, he's a good...
But again,
he's a coach that can get it done if you have the right roster around him.
When you have... like all the way the NFL works, when you have all these opportunities at fresh new coaches, you have to jump on that because those guys get locked up and they could be there 5 years, they could be there the rest of their career. Yeah. So you don't want to let guys slip through if you have an opportunity at them. Again, I don't know if Dan Quinn was the answer. Obviously, he's been the fit for the Commanders.
Yeah.
So time will tell. I guess.
I think with this roster where you have such top-heavy talent on your roster where you're paying top-heavy talent-wise and salary cap-wise, I think Mike McCarthy can get it done with the right roster. I think you can say that about most coaches, honestly. But you need one of those, like you said, innovative coaches to do something because you have so many gaps in this roster.
This team has the roster. I've thought this team for a couple of years now.
Yeah,
has been there. Obviously now, a couple injuries, you realize, man, this team's not as deep as you hoped they were.
Yeah, you need a lot to go right.
But again, then you look at, you're like, okay, you have mediocre running backs. I mean, I would say they're average running backs. You could probably get the job done if your offense was clicking and your receivers were there and the timing was down. You could get it done with this running back group. Your offensive line's struggling. Your defensive line's struggling. I mean, you put the stat out earlier this week with Mozzie Smith.
Yeah.
Like, is he going to pan out or is he going to end up being a bust? Because so far he's been a bust.
He looks good one game this year, which arguably may have been his best game. But other than that, nothing.
And the Micah's, injuries out, and really the way you're playing, do you really rush that? Like, if you're going to get your ass kicked, do you just say, hey, we're just going to get it kicked without him and let him get 100% healthy for the back stretch of the season and hope that we can, like, that's almost what you have to play for now is let's just take these L's, let's get everyone healthy, and let's see if we can make a run, because if you rush these guys back, you push and prolong that injury more because you're trying to get them to play.
Yeah.
And you're still losing, then it's not helping anyone.
Yeah. Well, you have an opportunity this week against the 49ers who are injury ridden as well. So, maybe you can. Yeah, I don't think bringing back Micah Parsons at whatever percent he might be healthy is gonna help that out.
This matchup will come down to a coaching matchup.
Yeah,
Who coaches the best? Like,
in an ugly way.
yeah,
Yeah, well, yeah, you're gonna. I mean, be a little innovative with your players that you're not used to using. I mean, Christian McCaffrey's still out. George Kittle's questionable, although he said he's going to play. Brandon Ayuk is out. Debo Samuel questionable. He had pneumonia. He's finally got back to practice. On the Cowboys side, Micah Parsons, Deron Bland, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Brandon Cooks are all out. Eric Kendricks is questionable. Obviously, most of that's on the defense outside of Brandon Cooks. I think you still have, outside of you need a running back, but I think you still have all your talent on offense. Just make it click. You can figure it out, and you could do a lot. Like, you just have to stop their offense, who are missing a lot of key players.
yeah.
They're missing, unless Debo Samuel plays, you have like no receivers for the most part. So it's just kind of see who can score first on the offense or the defense. And then if your defense does suck and is just giving up everything, your offense just needs to click and get ready for that battle. It's not an excuse. Like, yeah, you're hurt, but they're hurt too. I could make a argument that they're even more hurt than you because it's all at the same position. They have a lot of receivers. They have their offensive weapons out. Now, yes, you do have Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence out, but we saw what happened against
And maybe
Detroit.
that evens the matchup when they have a semi-healthy defense versus a pretty healthy offense, and then their offense is a lot of guys out, and our defense a lot of guys out. Maybe that's. I think it's going to be a tight game. I think it's probably going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a.
I don't think it
40.
should be.
I don't know what the spread is. I think it was 40 or.
Which isn't a high score. If both teams score 20 or get in the 20s, I think I'd be surprised. This shouldn't be a low-scoring game, honestly, man. I think the Cowboys have the better quarterback. You've seen with Brock Purdy, you've seen the last 3 49ers quarterbacks that they have a really good roster.
I just think the way the offense matches up against a healthy 49ers defense.
Yeah.
That you don't have an advantage as the Cowboys on offense that, they're missing key pieces.
The advantage is
the same way with their offense and the Cowboys
the
defense.
advantage is Dak and CD. Now, it doesn't seem that way because of how they played.
Yeah.
Dak has not been the better quarterback this year. Well, Brock Purdy hadn't been all that great either. The 49ers are 3 and 4.
You're not matching up. Brock Purdy isn't playing against.
No, but usually
he's
when
playing against a good, healthy. Arguably you have the best linebacker in the league.
Yeah.
Like, that's the matchup you should be looking at. There is matching up, comparing Dak to that, because he doesn't actually have to play Brock Purdy.
Yeah, by default, typically when it's so evenly matched, I tend to defer to the better quarterback in the situation. Talent-wise, over the career, it's been Dak Prescott.
But Dak hasn't played well.
He hasn't
good
played
defenses,
and he hasn't played good this year either. And that seems to be that seems to be how the scheme with Dak, how it goes with his chemistry is. He has good years or bad years. He doesn't typically have a bad year and then have roll off a good game. So we'll see. And they're undefeated on the road this season for God knows why. And they're averaging 24.5 points a game. So
most of those are Brandon Aubrey.
Brandon,
Leading scorer on the team.
Yeah, he's leading scorer of the team. He's been in jury duty all week, so we'll see how that. I'm sure he's working out in in his off time and kicking. And honestly, it's probably better he's not at practice this week. Just give his leg a rest. Or as much as they're using it, and there was a couple, like a 60-yard field goal that there was a timeout called or a delay of game. It was delay of game, and there's lots of times he's kicked extra long field goals in games that didn't even count. So
yeah,
but he is on pace to break the all-time points record by a player. I guess by kicker, but I think kickers typically are the leading scorers, anyways. But yeah, he's accounting for nearly half their points. I don't know. That was the stat before. I think it was after the Lions game. That was the stat. But of course, the Cowboys didn't score at all outside of Brandon Aubrey against the Lions.
Yeah.
Say what you want. They have a good defense. Injuries, but on the
I think this
offensive
game-
side, Brandon Cooks is the only thing you're missing, and he hasn't been showing you anything this year, anyways.
I think this game could come down to Brandon Aubrey's leg to win it or lose it for you.
Yeah, especially if it's a low-scoring game, and we can make excuses all day about defense. They're giving up all the Lions are a good offensive team, and sure, why wouldn't they score 40 points on this injury-ridden team? But when your offense scores 9, and sure, you can give me your crap about like, well, defense, your defense can hold them, helps the offense, blah blah blah. But like, you scored 9 points. There's not the Lions were throwing passes to offensive linemen all around you. You can't even get CeeDee Lamb and Dak on the same page.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we've been saying it for a long time. Don't bet with your gut. Check out Betalytics and get help making your picks. Betalytics uses AI algorithms to run the numbers and make the most accurate picks possible. Use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up today. Go to Betalytics.com to start betting smarter. All right, let's get into some of these college football matchups. Decent week. Today, we got number 5 Texas and number 25 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt finally getting some love from the rankings committee or whoever's picking out these rankings. Texas coming off the disappointing loss at Georgia, and then of course Vanderbilt upsetting Alabama at home earlier, just last month.
Did you see that Vanderbilt had to put up nets in front of
that was fake.
the student section?
I thought that was fake.
Did you see that story?
Yeah, I saw
How
that.
How funny is that?
Because at first they had said it was...
That would be a super troll move, though. I would do that.
And what was troll about the post is they didn't say it had anything to do with the Texas throwing trap. That's just what you assume. They said, oh, no, we're putting it up so you can't storm the field, which is kind of troll. Like, you don't... Like, it's fine to have locker room talk about that. Like, hey, we're going to beat Texas, or we're going to be... But you don't go into a game saying, hey, just in case we win, we're going to put up any kind of barriers.
Yeah.
Like, that's just that's like... The mayor of Dallas planning the parade when the Mavericks were up 2-0 But yeah, I saw that. I fell for it. I'm like, they think they're gonna throw just because you had about I think 40 people throwing water bottles on a field. You're gonna, but no, it was fake news. But
did you
that
see
was
that
funny. That's
too,
a troll.
That they're using the cameras in the stadium and stuff.
Yeah,
and they're going to find every person that threw something at the Texas game and ban them for the rest of the season.
Well, that's what the SEC. The SEC. The SEC told Texas to do that. We'll see if Texas, oh yeah, we try it, whatever. But you think they'd be able to do that? You get one of these TikTok detectives on it, and they'll figure it out. They'll zoom in and
they have photo IDs of all the students. They have all this stuff on file. They'll be able to put it in a database, I'm sure.
You just get a couple of
figure out
weak
who it
ones, and
is.
like, oh yeah, it was us. You just get the people in the
They might
vicinity.
have something to say. Look, if you don't come forward and say, you knew you threw it, we're going to know who you are. You either come forward and it's just this season, or you don't, and it's a lifetime ban.
So I'm sure it works the same at most colleges, but like when you're a student at Texas, you pay like $200, you get season tickets. But depending on your seniority, if you're a senior or whatever, you get put in a raffle or lottery to get those tickets. So you just pay it up front, and then you're going to get tickets to crap games like Colorado State or Mississippi State. But obviously against Georgia, only the top. Everybody wants those.
Yeah.
So all those kids that are further down on the list, if they know who, and like everybody talks, they're going to rat them out so quickly.
They can get their
just
spot.
so they're like, hey, you screwed around and threw bottles on the field. I'm not going to do that. I'd rather go to the game, and But interesting that the first time ever actually worked the fans throwing stuff on the field. The refs reversed the call. Mm-hmm. They'll say it had nothing to do with that. It was just they had time to review it, or it wasn't even a call. It was the penalty. They picked up they pick up the flag, throw the flag. I don't remember at what point that was, but I think they had.
Yeah, no, they threw a flag.
They threw a flag and they picked up the flag, which
defensive
is weird. Yeah. That's the first time that throwing trash on the field has actually worked, more or less. But yeah, Texas obviously favored in that game, but I think Vanderbilt has an opportunity.
Hopefully Vanderbilt can make it a game, though.
Yeah, Vanderbilt
for
definitely
themselves.
has an opportunity to get them while they're down. They're questionable. Again, I don't know the mind of Quinn Ewers. I don't know if Sarkisian's idea was to keep Manning in the game. I know if Manning would have been successful, he would have. But I think in a press
Was
conference,
just trying to get Ewers' head right.
in a press conference, he was like, "Just take a break. Let's figure that," because it was right before halftime. It's like, let's just go ahead and you're at halftime now. Man, if Manning would have went off and came back, Ewers would have been done. So
Yeah.
in his mind, I don't know how mentally strong Ewers is. I mean, in that situation, I think you have to be somewhat mentally strong. So he's got that on his head that, hey, Manning is like right behind me, and if something goes wrong and we start out slow, he's not gonna. Because now you have that with a 12-team playoff, you have that room, room for error. Now after you have the loss, not that number 25 Vanderbilt is a slack team. You could theoretically still lose this game, and you're still, you have to. But I think you went from nearly invincible to like, oh, they're the best team, they're the most around, and then you just get your asses kicked by Georgia. I know the score looked a little better, but
Georgia, I mean, rightfully so, Georgia was a very powerful team. I mean, they are a powerhouse. I still think Texas is the best team in the country. I still think they have the best roster all around.
But we know how the playoff committee works
Yeah.
in their mind. They do go back to this loss. That's why Texas got in, because they had to put Alabama in, and Alabama lost to Texas early
When you
in the
lost
season.
to a team that Georgia started the season number one. I mean, they were the team, and then they get a loss to Alabama. I mean, I know you want to play these, but all that comes up to matchups. You can't say, well, Alabama beat Georgia, but look at their ranking, and then this, and then look who Alabama lost to. Like, you can't really match that up because those matchups don't work.
Well, that's why this is an important matchup, because
I take Texas by 30 if they play Alabama right now.
I just I know you lost handily at home, but it was a good team. I don't think that's going to really hurt them. I still think they're probably more than likely going to get a bye week. Even if they, I think they just need to make the SEC championship game and then play really good. And I think they still could get a bye week. But you're playing Vanderbilt. If you struggle or lose to them, it looks okay right now, but Vanderbilt has to play the rest of their schedule. I don't see Vanderbilt being ranked at the end of this season.
Yeah.
I think they probably have about 4 losses. Nothing against Vanderbilt. You play in a gauntlet of it. There's going to be a 3-loss team that's probably a top 10 team, like I had mentioned earlier in the season. That's why you lose this game, and then at the end of the season, you look, okay, you lost to Georgia, handily, whatever. You also lost to Vanderbilt, who right now is, 7-5, 8-4, and they're not even ranked. It's easy to say, because I go back to the LSU championship game. If they played at Texas, and Texas nearly won. There was an onside kick away from winning, and then people will say, "Well, you can't. They were a different team." But you have to look at that, and that got Texas into a BCS bowl that year.
Mm-hmm.
But you can look at, well, Vanderbilt was a top 25 team. That's not how you look at it.
Yeah.
That's not how you look at it anymore. In fact, when they do rankings of top 10 teams, they do at the time that they are ranking. But most people use the eye test. They look, you lost to Vanderbilt. If they lose to Vanderbilt now, it doesn't look bad, but later on it'll look bad. Number 22 SMU at Duke, obviously being DFW based team network. We want to talk about SMU. Undefeated in the ACC, and I think they have a clear schedule until they hit Miami.
Yeah.
They already beat Louisville. I think they're clear seconds right now. I don't know how the divisions work at the ACC now, adding Stanford and Cal and SMU. I assume they're in different divisions than Miami, so I don't know, and I don't have the schedule in front of me if SMU plays Miami already. But SMU has, every chance in the world, even ranked 22, they've won loss at the beginning of the year, but they can make the playoff if they want to, because they're going to at some point play Miami.
Yeah.
Number 12 Notre Dame at 24 Navy. This is a rivalry game, a traditional game, which this might be the best matchup, our highest ranked matchup we've seen since the 60s.
Yeah.
Notre Dame and Navy. Because in the 50s and 60s, when Army and Navy and Notre Dame were, the best programs, the good matchup, a lot of people are picking Navy to win this game. I was watching some sports from that other sports network this morning. 3 of the 4 guys picked Navy to win this game. I don't know about all that. Like, it's possible because Notre Dame did slack and lose to Northern Illinois. I think it was they lost to Northern Illinois. But at the same time, it's like you see their weakness, but now it's like with Texas being undefeated and having all this praise.
Yeah.
They get knocked down. Now they're aware. So that
Yeah.
I think that's a downside. Like from our point of view, yes, Notre Dame obviously has that potential to lose, but from Notre Dame's perspective, that coach is first thing I say in that locker room. Remember the Northern Illinois game? Don't think because this is Navy. Forget the rank 24. On that, it could be, like I said, the eye test. You're thinking Navy in your head. Like, it's Navy. You know, they haven't played anybody. They're, you know, I think this is going to be an interesting game. And then Notre Dame has to play Army. I don't know if it's next week or a couple weeks, but they have to play both. So you lose to one of those teams, it's going to get in your head. Because Notre Dame's 12. They're right there on the precipice of the playoff. Again, that Northern Illinois game is going to look bad on their resume. And then we have what our game of the week is, number 8 LSU at 14, Texas A&M in College Station. And we actually have a version of the thread coming up for this game because tonight Texas A&M is going to wear their blackout uniforms, is what they call it. And we got a couple of pictures up here. What those blackout uniforms. I know A&M has worn black uniforms, black helmets before with like the red Texas A&M on the helmet, but these have that. You were talking about that script logos. Logo. It's all blacked out. Obviously, the numbers are white, but like the logo's blacked out. You have the SEC logo is blacked out.
Black helmet. Yeah, matte finish is very popular now.
A lot of teams.
This is a true blacked out uniform.
Yeah,
very well done by Adidas and matching the helmets. Sometimes you see teams, not do a good job with a great uniform, and then they botch it on the helmets. Like I know the Packers
trying to do too much.
The Packers this past week did it. We'll have to get into that one in the future, but they did a bad job on their helmet to uniform matchup. But they did a great job.
A lot of times, which I think A&M's previous blacked out uniforms, it comes to mind like when Johnny Manziel was playing there. They had their all white, they had their all black, they had their all maroon. That they were all the same uniform. They were just switching out the colors. But this is completely changing where it says Texas A&M over the logo. I think normally it just says A&M or it just says Aggies over it maybe. I'm trying to remember what they're normal. Does it normally say
Texas? It says Texas A&M.
Okay. The white jersey says Texas.
But there's no maroon on these uniforms. I couldn't get a good shot of the pants, but yeah, everything,
Even
it says
SEC,
Aggies on the helmets.
The SEC logo,
yeah.
the Adidas logo are all blacked out.
And this is when you get bold, when you're like, it's either you love it or you hate it. Not many people are like, it's okay.
Many people here that does not love this.
This
one.
is great. This is good. They didn't do too much. So the uniforms are mostly the same. They, like you said, with the helmets, with that script logo on the Aggies, it just works.
Not only are the players blacked out this week, Texas A&M is in College Station. They're blacking out the stadium.
Yeah, everyone's wearing black.
Yeah,
at night under the lights.
All of the like shirt vendors and stuff at the warehouse and things like that. They're in town. They're selling all the black. Yeah, they have all these like the T-shirts that look like the jerseys.
Yeah.
They have the like what they would normally do like a maroon out game, which they would do versus Texas. It's gonna be this is the blackout game.
So if you're an LSU fan traveling for this game or whatever, you don't want to wear purple. You want to wear white or yellow to stick out.
LSU is actually are all white. They're white out tonight.
Yeah. So the fans, you would think this is good because I know wearing all white is kind of a risk because like Cowboys did it in their playoff game against the 49ers a couple of years ago. That's not good because 49ers fans travel well and they're always taking, maybe like 15 to 20%, but
out.
15% red with everyone else. What stands out? Like you'd have been better just to do blackout. That's why blackout's usually
Texas
a better
A&M
option.
does a good job of selling out the stadium to home crowd. So you're not going to find very many LSU fans that are even going to get an opportunity.
Yeah, the boosters are
they do
making sure
job.
They go, whether it's breaking the rules or not, they make sure. Because NFL, it's a little more difficult because you can't just you have to go through loops to make sure only Cowboys fans get it.
But if you've been to Kyle Field, they sprinkle in the away fans here and then there, and they kind of They put them around a group of Aggies. They don't get a whole section to themselves.
You know, it was Texas. Their basketball game was when Chris Beard was there, and you saw that Texas Tech said we're trying, or no, Texas. It came out like they had sent people posts like, don't let any Texas Tech fans, and that came out. So Texas Tech fans just bombarded because obviously former coach, and it got out of hand. But you know those messages are being sent under the table for obvious reasons. One, you don't want LSU fans to hear them and everyone get motivated. We're going to spend money. Because it's not necessarily. I mean, it's a long drive, but it's a few hours from Baton Rouge is where they're at to College Station. So it's not ridiculous to make a few hours in a car. But no, this is going to be good.
To the schedule, this is Texas A&M's last ranked opponent, tough game. They pretty much should coast the next couple weeks, with South Carolina next week
until the final. Texas is the last game of the year.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. I hope Texas A&M takes it down because I want that top 10 matchup. Texas A&M.
Yeah,
assuming Texas is still in the top 10. No, they lose to Vanderbilt.
You're looking at a situation. They play New Mexico State November 16th. So going into, and they play Auburn November 23rd.
I think Texas A&M got done wrong when they lost to Notre Dame because you think you lose to a ranked opponent, really good opponent, who's ranked 12 right now, close, and that knocked them down to the 20s. I thought that was kind of ridiculous. I think Notre Dame winning just because that's their only loss. Mm-hmm. Only Texas A&M loss was to Notre Dame. You have a chance to go in here and Texas A&M.
They're undefeated in conference play.
Yeah, Texas
so
A&M.
This is such a big game for them, and they could be ranked number 1 in the SEC just by default by not having any conference losses. Going to I think the Texas game, this gives it even more meaning.
Yeah.
Because both teams' playoff implications could be riding on. And really, Texas A&M could get to that game, lose.
That's
probably still be in the SEC championship. Even lose the SEC championship, probably still have a shot at that 12th spot.
Yeah, that's probably assuming Texas doesn't lose any more games.
Yeah.
If A&M can win out, then that essentially becomes like an SEC West championship game. They would both be one loss if Texas can win. And
I really hoped for Texas to beat Georgia. Because then you're in a situation where you probably have back-to-back weeks of Texas and Texas A&M playing.
Yeah.
Not only in this, the Thanksgiving game, but then turn around the next week and play in the SEC championship
game. Can they play
in
the SEC championship game? Are they not in the best same different division?
I don't know how that works, but
I think they're in the SEC West. I'm not pretending I know. I know the SEC West and SEC East, and I would assume Texas and Texas A&M are two of the far western schools. I'm not sure if they can. I don't think they can, but that's what I say. Either way, I think if both teams win out, then that game, essentially the winner goes to the SEC championship game. But Texas A&M LSU has always been a really good matchup.
You're right. Assuming Texas doesn't have another loss along the way.
Yeah,
Texas A&M could lose it and still go to the SEC championship.
Yeah, because if Texas loses another SEC game and Texas A&M wins out, they could both theoretically be ranked in the top 10. But if A&M's undefeated and Texas has 2 losses, it doesn't matter if Texas wins. They can't make it to the SEC championship game anyways. But that would give incentive for if Texas A&M wins SEC championship, that helps Texas out because they lose to Georgia, and they beat, assuming they win, and they beat the eventual SEC champion. So that helps out. But obviously we're not going to get the 74-72 6 or 7 overtime game we got. I think that was a Thanksgiving weekend because I think we were in Tennessee when that game happened. Just the constant overtime. I guess you could. It would just take a lot more overtimes because after the second overtime, you're just trading 2-point conversions. So I guess you could get a 70-something, but that would be like 12, 13 overtimes. But it's going to be a great matchup. Should be number 8, number 14. I would think if Texas A&M wins this game, that puts them in the top 10. At least gets really close. All right, Landon, it's your time to shine. Talking baseball, World Series, Yankees, Dodgers. The MLB wanted it. I think 60% of America says they don't want it, but they're all probably watching. I'm not a Yankees or Dodgers fan, but You know,
Right, you can't not watch this one. This is the most iconic we've seen in some
the
time.
two biggest,
And those biggest powerhouse teams, two of them,
Yeah.
really.
two
truly-
biggest baseball franchises in the two biggest markets in the U.S.
But the
and they're
two
the
biggest
two
players.
two biggest players, and they're the two best teams. And
And I think coming off of last year's World Series, even as a huge Rangers fan, and glad that we won that one,
it was kind
it
of
was a very lackluster.
imagine
you know.
not being a Diamondbacks fan or a Rangers fan.
Yeah, it was a very lackluster. Like, there's nobody that doesn't want to watch these two iconic teams, the powerhouse. You're right. Two best players. Who doesn't want to watch
Yep.
Ohtani and Judge face off?
This is the first time in 30 years that you have two MVPs. I guess because they won last year.
Yeah.
They're both winning this year too. Ohtani and Judge are winning this year. Game 1 goes to the Dodgers in extra innings with a walk-off grand slam for Freddie Freeman in the bottom of the 10th.
Which is like it's really full circle for the season for him.
Yeah.
You have all this stuff with your kid. You come back and they said on the broadcast when we looked, because we got home. Well, y'all were out late, but I got home and I walked in. I put it on the TV. I saw 2 at bats. I saw Mookie Betts like have a really hard almost like just ball that just skipped into Jazz Chisholm's glove. And then they have a run on third, 2 outs, and they're talking about how Freddie Freeman's been struggling with the inside fastball. And he pops one up to the warning track, and then he comes back in the 11th, and
Yeah.
you take an inside fastball for a walk-off home run about 8 rows up.
It was just funny after an intentional walk to put Mookie Betts
Yeah.
on. Because
Yeah.
you don't want Mookie Betts.
Yeah.
And obviously, right, I mean, I would have done the same thing. I wouldn't change it. If this same scenario came up in tomorrow or tonight's game, I would put Mookie
yeah.
Betts on. I mean, I'm
Especially
still going to
when-
take my shot against Freddie Freeman, and if he does it again, then he does
Yeah.
it again because the odds are Mookie Betts was going to be the guy to walk that off.
Well, and
There's so many stars in both of these lineups. It's hard
you
to.
can't.
That's what makes it so fun.
Yeah.
Is this is such a chess match? Like, I would
And not
I would be
unknowns
so- we
either.
would-
These are
Yeah.
Hall of Famers.
not to be like surprised, but I would be so disappointed if this doesn't go to 7 games.
yeah.
We want to see these teams for 7 games back and forth.
Well, you saw it. It was just like they were just like throwing punches at each other because Judge hit
Yeah.
his home run, and like there was no really like small ball runs.
Yeah.
It was. I think the Dodgers scored all their runs off of home runs.
Yeah. So I had it here.
And don't get surprised.
Yeah,
Don't be
Freeman got
surprised
this.
if the Dodgers don't come out tonight and win. Don't the fans should not come out and think, well, okay, we're going to sweep them now. It's 2. No. You got to
Yeah.
go back to New York now for 2 games. There's a good chance the Yankees are going to win those 2 games,
Yeah.
and then you're coming back. And we're going to see it. Just you're right. It's going to be. This is like a boxing match, man. They're just going to start throwing punches back and forth, and we hope this goes the distance.
And for the most part, this game was a pitcher's matchup, which you got some good pitchers too. Cole was a starter, 6 innings, 4 hits, 1 earned run. Even though most of the stars on both of these teams are power hitters, which I think will come out eventually. Judge 1 for 5 with 3 Ks. Ohtani went 1 for 5. Mookie Betts went 0 for 3. He did have an RBI, and then obviously Freeman 2 for 5 with all of his 4 RBIs coming off the grand slam. You hope, because I'm not getting too much of a fanboy. I don't like the Yankees. I don't really like the Dodgers either. But Stanton, Judge, Ohtani, Mookie Betts. That's you're talking Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. You're talking these stars that right now you're like, come on, whatever. But 30, 40, 50 years from now, and you're gonna want to watch this World
These are
Series.
the biggest stars
Yeah.
in the league right now.
And this is the most iconic World Series in a long time. I mean, I'm thinking like Phillies Yankees was probably a pretty good back at the last time the Yankees made the World Series, just because they were too older. But you're like, Phillies aren't like a national brand. They're both up there in the Northeast. It's like this is split across the country. Like this, of course, MLB wanted this game, but I would be surprised if this isn't the highest ranking game in how many ever years, if not ever. Last time the Yankees and Dodgers faced off, there wasn't as many
This is
people
a tough
watching.
ending for Nestor Cortez to give up this grand slam.
Yeah.
He hasn't pitched since September 18th, so it's kind of a tough for him to come into this situation thinking he's just coming to close this game out, and ends up giving up the game-winning walk-off grand slam, and then he ends up getting the loss in that.
Yeah.
Give a shout out to Jonathan Mathis. I try to get him on the sports page. He's out there in LA covering the Dodgers. You follow him on YouTube. He's a sports judge. He did tell me that he had the Dodgers in 7 because the main point was their bullpen, and
I think
down 3-2, the bullpen didn't give up any runs.
I think
they held it in place.
I've come into this series. I was picking the Dodgers as well. I'm only saying 7 because I want 7. I don't know. Like, it's so hard to know. I just couldn't imagine either team's going to sweep or even go to 5 or 6. Like, I want 7 games.
Yeah, and if you don't like either of these teams, I get it. But you want 7 games too. Like, one of them has to win, whatever. But like, at least get good baseball out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll see tonight. They play again tonight, and for their last game in LA before they go to New York. And I think it'll be a toss-up. I mean, for them to win 2, and then the Yankees go win 2, and then come back for 5, win, go there for 6, win, and 7, where it's just each team wins at home. I think it's kind of unrealistic. If you lose 2 on the road, you're probably going to lose 1 at home. Mm-hmm. And then you have to go for 3 straight.
And it is a hard play, both hard places to win, especially New York. Yeah. That's why it's important for the Dodgers to win that second game. When you're thinking, well, now the Yankees back are against the wall. Like, now, if the Yankees win, then you're going back. Is it 2-2, 2-1?
It's 2-2. And I think 1-1-1.
1-1-1. Okay. Well, yeah, that makes more sense. So yeah, you don't want to put the momentum all back at the Yankees if they were able to split and win tonight, and then go back, and now you lost all the momentum.
Historically, this may go down as one of the best World Series we've seen.
And don't be haters. Like, enjoy the moment. Like, get lost in it, because you're gonna, luckily Joe Buck's not on the call anymore. But he gets kind of annoying. But yeah, they're gonna overshoot this, just like the NFL always shows Taylor Swift. Like, they're gonna overshoot this. They're gonna get really dramatic, and you might want to barf or whatever. Just, you're a sports fan, get lost in the moment of how historic it is.
There's so much nostalgia in this, and with these types, like, we may never see a matchup like this. Just the way the MLB works, we just may never see it. And we might see this for years to come now if these teams can keep these rosters together. We might see
Lakers Celtics like every other year.
Even that, for me, not being a huge fan of either team, I probably lean more towards the Dodgers.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be mad to see this matchup for the next 2 or 3 years in the World Series and just be this dogfight.
If you can't have your team,
exactly.
Right? Most people say they want the Cinderella story, but if it's not their team, they want the team who's never won. But like, you're not watching it.
Last year, you had 2 Cinderella stories, and that just didn't make for exciting. I mean, yes, there were some exciting moments, but historically, you're just not going to, outside of a Rangers or a Diamondbacks fan, it's just not going to be that memorable and historical as this is.
So a lot of the country was cheering for the Rangers to beat the Astros because the Astros get a lot of hate. And they were probably happy the Rangers made the World Series, but most of them didn't watch the games.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, yeah, that's great. Now I can ignore the World Series.
I mean, this is definitely good for baseball to help with those ratings, because the ratings were down last year World Series. And who just doesn't get excited for, like, you can go not watching baseball all season long, but when World Series comes, almost everyone watches every pitch. Like, every pitch means something. The game's just so much. You get lost, like you said, you get lost in this one. And I think in any World Series, but especially one so iconic.
Yeah, I mean, pregame and coming back from commercial, you're just going to see highlights of Babe Ruth, Dennis Eckersley, or Kirk Gibson. That's who I'm thinking of. Dennis Eckersley was pitching.
Yeah.
I think we saw highlights this morning after Freddie Freeman did that at Kirk Gibson's, because Freddie Freeman, not as dramatic as Kirk Gibson's injury when he hit the home run, but he had been dealing with all that stuff.
And also, I don't know if you mentioned it, this is the first walk-off grand slam in World Series history.
That's ridiculous. Since 1903, the World Series has been 120 years, You get a first for that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
And
That's never happened
a
before.
great way to start the World Series off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With something like that, isn't it?
A close game.
It just puts a smile on my face just thinking about that. Just how great this.
Yeah,
really
it's
is.
you get the pitching matchup that it's just a pitcher's battle the whole time, and then you get a couple home runs, and then that's how it ends is a grand slam.
I
Game
think
one
that
kind of had
pitch-
everything.
That pitch is it's like 7:08 tonight. Is that right? 7:05. First
Yeah.
pitch tonight
Yeah,
in LA.
yeah, still in LA for game two. So yeah, don't if you're a Dodgers or Yankees fan, enjoy it. If you're not, still enjoy it. I mean, we're gonna enjoy it. We don't like these teams, but it's gonna be something you can look back on. I mean, the only reason we remember last year's World Series is because it was our team. You'd ask somebody who played in the 2023 World Series 10 years from now. I think a lot of people struggle to think about it, but you say 2024, it's that Dodgers-Yankees series.
Yeah.
So thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of The Leadoff. However you're tuning in, hit that like button if you like the show. If not, hit it twice, and don't forget to subscribe. With Tony and Landon, I'm Ashton. Have a great Saturday and a great weekend.